to
This
the
conference will now be recorded.
file again. This is the file where I have made the changes for chroot, and this is the chroot change here. And in this file, we are going to write again the name of the users which we intend to log in from FTP client from another system. And the password for this is the normal password which you are using for logging in with these users. This is it for FTP server. And for PAM, it was not working yesterday. The issue what I have been facing, or the mistake what I have been doing, is like I have been logged in through root and I was trying to modify from root every user. So the PAM doesn't apply for root, but yes, it do implement for the another users. Let's say I'm logging into the testing. I'm going to log in using test, and then if I'm going to change the password of test, it's asking for Unis password, anything. Let me give password, new password. Bad password is the same as the old one. I'm giving the same password. I'm typing the same password as the old one itself. So yesterday we have seen that we are remembering the 5 password. We have added the argument to remember the 5 password, and don't start. We are restricting users to save to use the last 5 used password. So it's giving us that, and it's going to give 3 retries. If you are not giving, it's going to exit. We've exhausted the number of retries for this service. So where we have entered that, password -auth, I think. Let me check. This is the one. Yeah, we have entered this one, retry for 3, and this is the again password complexity. Minimum length should be 9, and then digital a digit should be at least 1, and uppercase should be at least 1, minus lowercase should be there at least. So all this is required to be there. So this is what we have added yesterday, and we can see that it's getting implemented when you are going to log in through that particular user and try to change the password. So the meaning of this is, you are admin, you will have all the privileges to change the password and to do whatever modification you want, but all these things are you are going to implement for a normal user, not for the admin. So let's say you are giving a normal user username and password, and you want a normal user is asking to enforce some policies, is asking to change the password, then he has to go through the policy, whatever you have implemented. Let's see if I'm giving testing. I've written testing as a password. Okay, sorry, it's asking for the current password. Let me give the current password. Testing is the, you can see that the password is shorter than 8 character. Testing. I have given testing 2 times the same password. The password contains the username is some form. So you can see that it's detecting that it's union of the username or not. Whatever the password is union of the username or not. That's also checking out. Testing Linux. Okay. Let me try all the characters. Linux is an OS. Okay, Linux is an OS. Okay, so it has updated since I've given the long password, and in that I think -1 indicates that we don't need any lower character, upper character, and the numbers, digits. So if we are going to add here 1 and here as well 1 rather than -1, then probably it's going to ask for us that particular policy to be get implemented while giving the new password. So this is for Pam. I think one more thing is there which I wanted to explain. SSHD. SSHD is like in this, if we wanted to implement something which is specific to SSH, we can give here. So what I wanted to give doesn't seem to be here. I just forgot which was the file. Login. Yeah, here this is login is the one which is going to implement what we wanted to do when we are going to log in with our system. This is not related to password credential right now. How we wanted to authenticate. So if we are going to enable this line, which I have written here, it was not by default. It was by default not %. Let me open this using sudo. Just now I have changed the password. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to restrict me from logging in into the same system from the root user. So let me exit, and if I'm trying to log in, I've given the password, but it's restricting me to log in. Test Linux is OS. Let's see if I'm able to give correct password for test is or not. Hmm. Oh God, I forgot the password itself. Okay, I got Linux 11 OS. Let me change the password to make it simple, which is possible using root. I cannot log in by coming into from the login screen, but yes, I can switch user after logging in. That's what the meaning of it here. Password test. Linux is okay. Now let me edit the file as well. so that I should be able to log in using root. And the same file, if you are going to write down, same content, if you are going to write down in SSHD as well, then you are going to restrict login from the remote on through SSH. So that's what the meaning of that SSHD file here. Like you are going to restrict the authentication of root from that particular policy or from that particular system. This is two things. Then next thing, what I thought to start with firewall. Let me check the link if I do have any saved link for firewall or not. It seems I don't have the link for that, so let me search on internet tutorial. Okay, I can paste the link. Everybody can open that link. Everybody is able to open the link. I don't know who's ABC. Can I get the name for that? What is the name of ABC? I don't get it. At least type your name. ABC. Do you want to tell who you are? I think your keyboard is working. If your mic is not working. Okay, so when you are ready with your name, you can join once again. I believe. So firewall, it's a kind of that we need an extra security enable the to enable the secure system or restrict the vulnerabilities coming into your system or the viruses coming into system. So here we are going to call it as a firewall, which is required in every system nowadays, either it's Linux or Windows. Every firewall does have their own different names. So Windows firewall does have their own firewall itself, and in Linux we do see that the name of the firewall comes like IP tables, and in kernel there is IP table, and which is the firewall. And to control that, there are several application comes in user space. So there is an application called IP tables itself, a user application which comes along with that, along with the operating system, along with the Linux operating system. If it's not coming, you can install as well the user space application to control the kernel IP tables. That's one thing. And if you do have another application, let's say what we are going to use as here is firewall D. Firewall daemon. Firewall D is going to give us a command firewall hyphen cmd. That's a command which we are going to use, and internally that is also going to use that is also going to use IP tables. So let's say if you are going to use any other application, what application I can name? I mean, whatever application you are going to get, either it's a GUI or it's a command line in Linux, you are going to use internally IP tables. So firewall does have different zones, and for different zones, what they wanted to do, or if you're going to keep in that zone by default, what are all things that zone intend to do. That's I'm going to explain it here. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zones are available. So we can see that drop zone. All incoming connection are dropped without any notification. Only outgoing connection are allowed if you're going to keep some system in that zone. And if you're going to keep something in block zone, it means like all incoming connections are rejected, and with an Icmp host prohibited message for IPv4, it means like you will not get the ping request if you are going to keep your system in this block state or in the block listed. Public is for use in untrusted public areas. You do not trust other computers on the network, but you can allow selected incoming connections. So by default, what we do have all the systems is kept in public. When we enable the firewall, all the system is going to be kept in public. If you want to apply some rules in that public, you can apply, and you can use that for the system sitting in that particular zone. External zone for use an external network with NAT masquerading enabled when your system act as a gateway or router. So it's like your system is, I mean, now itself we can see that I do have a laptop, and in that laptop I have enabled virtual machine. Virtual machine is I'm able to run, and in virtual machine I have enabled NAT. So in that, my laptop going to come into the external network for that particular NAT, because my network, whatever I am using here, is going to use as a router or a gateway for that particular virtual machines, whatever I'm using right now. So in the similar way, if you're using your Linux as a gateway, then that's going to behave as a external machine. So that is going to come into your external zone. Like that, you can imagine. Internal, for use an internal network, when your system acts as a gateway or router, other systems on the network are generally trusted. Only selected incoming connections are allowed. So it means like within your system, within your network system itself, there is a system which is acting as a router. So in this, it's not about NAT, it's about LAN connection itself. So there is another setting in the same virtual machine itself. You will be able to see that bridging connection. So when you enable the bridging, it means like you are going to be local to that particular system. That's what the meaning of it here. And DMZ is demilitarized zone. It means like only limited connections are allowed from the rest of your network, and only selected incoming connections are allowed. So it's like only specific connections is going to be get allowed on this zone, demilitarized zone. Work is like, you know, that there is several features which you wanted to, or several ports you wanted to enable with your work or disable with your work. Home zone is like you have some system and you wanted to keep some of the separate systems in the separate zone. So you can use, if you have system in the same network as two, let's say one TV if you're using and one mobile phone if you're using. So uh, those IP addresses or those systems, you can add it into your home zone so that you may not be get restricted with other things like using some particular port for your TV or for Android TV or something like that. And trusted, it's trusted, which is going to accept all the things from the server. So for giving a firewall command, we use firewall-cmd, and then hyphen permanent is going to use for permanent to make changes as a permanent. And if you don't use hyphen permanent, whenever we restart the system, it's going to vanish what are all changes we have done. It's not going to get written as a configuration file. So make sure that you do add your changes with hyphen permanent options. And after adding the option, you are required to change. You are required to reload all the configurations by giving a command firewall-cmd space --reload for activating that command at the same time. So that's what the meaning of --reload. So you can start the firewall T. You know that you can check the state, how to check using system D. That also you know that. And if you want to check what are all default zones are available currently, so you can do like that. You can do like let me share the screen here. Firewall-cmd -get-default-zone. This is going to show us the default zone for current. So what is the default zone? I mean, whenever any system is going to come, where it's going to be added. So that's what it's going to show, the default zone for us. So if you want to see what are all available zones are here, then get zones. This is the available zones are there for our firewall. This is what I've explained a few minutes ago. And you can get the active zone. It's like which active zone is currently there. We don't have any active zone currently working. So let's say if we do have any Ethernet which is assigned to any active zone, so in that case, if we do have, it will show that public or private or home user with these particular IPs used to be assigned for this zone. So, and if you want to see the configuration list of a particular zone, that you can get like this. It says that ports are enabled 80 ports and 21 ports TCP. So we have enabled yesterday, you know that, and this, you know that 21 we have enabled from remote for accessing the FTP. And the services, if you're talking about, you can see that FTP and SSH services are enabled here. Icmp blocks, you're not blocking any Icmp. If you're going to enable this, it means like you're going to block the ping as well. If you are going to ping from another system, it's going to block. So it's not going to reply for the ping if you're going to block ICMPs. So if you want to change the zone settings, there is a command there available. So settings of a zone, you can change. Let's say if you want by default your zone to move to drop, then zone hyphen zone equals to public, you can mention, and then set target equals to drop. So all the things are going to be get dropped. So if you are going to send that particular as a target for your particular zone. And the interface here is like your whatever the LAN connection we are using is actually an interface. So somewhere you might see that ETH1, ETH0. So these are all two interfaces. And what all we are using is ENP0S3. Let's say if you are going to add one more LAN connection, that might come with ETH0, that might come with ENP0S4 or something like that. So you need to understand that that's the name of the LAN connection, and that is going to be your interface for your firewall. So how we can add a particular service in the firewall, that we need to know, and how we can remove a particular service from the firewall. That's required to be get known. So we have used this for adding in past as well. Let me grep it. So these are all the commands we have used. It means like we have in public zone, we have added permanent, and the port and the service is 21, and then FTP. So similarly, you can add any port, you can add any services. If you want to add by service, you can use this. If you want to add by port, you can use this. So it means like you are enabling that particular port and that particular service connections from outside world. That's what the meaning of this here. And obviously, after doing this, you are required to reload the firewall. And if you want to add a particular, let's see, if you want to add a particular IP in that particular zone, then you can add, let's say, firewall -cmd space -- zone equals to public, and then here you are required to give --add -source equals to that particular IP. If you want to add that particular IP in that zone. And for removing, you can add, the way we have added hyphen add hyphen port, you can remove that particular port from the list of allowing list by using the same command, but the change is hyphen remove hyphen port here. That's it. And the same for service hyphen remove hyphen service. So this is it for firewall, I can say. I will not explain the forwarding, like how you are going to get the packet and forward it to another IP or to another thing or to another port here. That will not go through. So I have pinged the link, and if you need, you can go through that. And if you have any question, you can come back with that. I'll try to explain. So this is it about the firewall. Next topic, what I thought to go ahead with SE Linux. Okay, so I can give a link for SE Linux. Since it's a big topic, I may not start by today itself. I will start by tomorrow, SE Linux, but not even tomorrow, I can say. Currently, I can say that day after tomorrow, it means my Monday. Yes, Kangesh, let me upload this. I'll provide the link. So you know the playlist, correct? Where is where you are able to, where you can find out the older lectures. At the same place, you'll be able to find out this as well. So I'll upload after this class. Yeah, this is the one. This is the link I'm about to give you for SE Linux. So basic I can explain since we do have time, and remaining practicals maybe we can look at later tomorrow. So for explaining the basics, you can also visit the link and you can go along with me whatever I'm going to explain. So SE Linux, it's let me stop sharing. Yeah. So SE Linux, it's again a policy for the security or for security to be get enabled in your Linux system. So it comes with few modes: disable, permissive, enforcing. So disable, it means like you are going to disable it. Permissive means like you are going to give permission to do whatever changes we wanted to do. Enforcing means like you wanted to enforce the rules whatever you have given. And if something is not going with the rule, then you are going to drop that packet or you are going to restrict that user to do the changes. You will not allow that in enforcing. Permitting, you will allow, but you will log it. Something doesn't seem to be permissive, something doesn't seem to be good, then at that time you are going to allow, but you are going to log it into a file. The file name seems to be var log audit.log. That's the file name where it's going to be get logged. So having said that, let me explain a little bit more in detail that whenever you open any file, so Linux system, it's all about files. And when you say about files, it means like everything you are going to use and everything, whatever changes is going to happen, everything is going to happen with a particular file. And that particular file for making any changes that particular file, you are required to open and change and write some changes and then do the execution. So for whenever I say opening a file, it means you are going to make a system call. System call is a call when you enter from user space to the kernel space and do some execution and do some work in a privileged mode. There are several modes in any processor, either it's an Intel or ARM or anything. So there are several mode in privilege. So you go there and you go and in a privilege mode and do execute some command and then come back to user space. Either you're copying some bits or bytes. So that's going to happen all the time whenever you make a system call. So whenever you make a system call, if your SL Linux is enabled, you are going to get a log that you have opened this file, you opened that file in audit.log. And if it's permissive, your system call is going to get processed normally. And if it's enforced, your system call is going to check against the security policy, and then only it's going to get proceed further if you do have a permission for that. So you might be, whatever I've explained, you might be able to see the same thing in the picture depicting in the link, whatever I have shared to you. And SE status, if you look at, it might show enabled, disabled, or whatever it is currently. So set enforce 0, it means like you are not enforcing that particular SLNX. Set enforce 1, it means like you are going to enforce the SLNX policy here. So that's going to be enforcing. So set enforce 0 is not going to disable the policy, but yes, it's going to enable the policy in permissive mode. And set enforce 1, which I have just now said, it's going to enable the policy in enforcing mode. And yes, for enabling after making the changes, after making the changes in the config file, you are required to restart your system to play the role, because it's going to act on all your system calls, whichever your system is making. So to be work at that time, you are required to reboot your system. So we do type for listing files, we do type ls space -l or al. So that's going to list all the files. But if we give a name -alz, and that's going to give us the context. Context means like what is the context, what is the user context, who do have access or not. So that's the context meaning here. Will have access permission or not. So like that, we will be able to see. So if let's give another example of that. If you are going to give that thing in a normal user, you will be able to see user permissions and who has created that file and all this information in ls-lz if you give. So you'll be able to see the file context. And if you go and see in var log, not log, sorry. Obviously, if you go switch back the user and you see the home page of that particular user, then you will see the different context. And third example, I can say that let's say if you're going and looking at HTTPD configuration files or the HTTPD HTML files, which is located at var. It should be at that place. Yeah, it should be at var www html and then index.html. So that's a file where you keep your HTML file to be get hosted. So if you go there and see, you will be able to find out that different user is there for a particular file which has that access. So you will be able to know the difference between copy and move as well. You don't see the difference when you copy and move here any file with another name. But yes, in this context, when we say the file context, when we see the SE Linux file context for security purpose, yes, there is a difference along with when you copy and when you move. So you can go through that particular link, whichever I have shared, and then probably we will explain more in detail the same thing, whatever has been mentioned, to understand how SE Linux works. So that's it for today. If anybody has any question, can ask. If no question, then no problem. We can wrap up the session. 4 minutes before itself. And just to let everybody knows that from tomorrow I will wait only till 7. Not from tomorrow. From Monday I'm going to wait only till 7:05. If only 1 person or 2 person is also joining, I will start the class and I'll continue the class. And if nobody is joining, then I can presume that nobody is going to join, because everybody knows the timing. 7 is the timing for everyone to be present there.